Most of the systems in your body, your heart, your lungs, your digestive system, they're all working around the clock for one reason, to keep you alive, right here, right now. But there's one system that's playing a much longer game. It's less concerned with you and way more concerned with the future of humanity itself. And that's the reproductive system.
So here's what we're going to dive into. First, we'll get our heads around the unique goal of this system. Then, we're going to explore the two completely different strategies it uses, the male focus on quantity versus the female focus on quality. We'll see who's really pulling the strings at the hormonal command center. And finally, we'll get to the ultimate goal of it all, the union of two tiny cells.
All right, let's start with a really fascinating, kind of mind-bending shift in perspective. Like I said, your circulatory system, your respiratory system, they are all about keeping you going minute by minute. The reproductive system, though, it has a totally different priority. I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. The entire incredibly complex function of this system, it's all geared towards one single thing: passing on your alleles, those different versions of your genes that make you, you, to the next generation. It's a biological investment in the future. So to pull off this massive goal, biology came up with two completely different game plans. Seriously, you can think of it like this. The male strategy is like playing the penny slots at a casino. You're just constantly making millions of small, low-investment plays. The female strategy? That's more like a high-stakes poker game. It's one big bet once a month where every single resource is poured into one high-quality chance. So let's start with those penny slots. The male reproductive system is basically a factory, and its one and only product is mass-produced gametes. It's all about creating an absolutely overwhelming number of them to just maximize the odds of success. The official name for this process is spermatogenesis, and it's all happening inside these tiny coiled tubes called the seminiferous tubules, which are packed inside the testes. And there's a really good reason the testes are housed outside the main body in the scrotum. It keeps them just a little bit cooler than core body temperature, which turns out to be the perfect condition for making healthy sperm. Now, to really put this quantity strategy into perspective, get this. A mature male can produce around 1,500 sperm per second. Yeah, you heard that right, per second. It's a truly staggering number, and it's all designed to beat the incredible odds. But hey, just producing them is only half the battle. After they're made in those tubules, the sperm travel to a place called the epididymis. It's this tangled tube where they hang out and mature for a few weeks, basically learning how to swim. When the time is right, they get shot through the vas deferens, mix with some important fluids in the ejaculatory duct, and finally, make their exit through the urethra. And the sperm don't make this journey alone. Oh no, they have a whole support crew. The seminal vesicles provide semen, which is this nutrient-packed fluid that feeds them and protects them. The prostate gland adds a fluid that activates them, kind of gets them revved up for action. And the bulbourethral glands produce a mucus that lubricates the path and clears the way. Okay, so let's shift gears. We're leaving the penny slots behind and heading over to that single, high-stakes bet. The female system is all about quality over quantity. It invests a massive amount of resources into one single opportunity, just about once a month. And this is a huge difference. Unlike males who are constantly producing new sperm, females are born with every single egg cell they will ever have. We're talking around 1 million of them, stored in little packages called primordial follicles. That's it. That's the entire lifetime supply. And from that huge pool, only one egg will typically get chosen to mature each month. The process of creating and maturing these eggs is called oogenesis. And what's fascinating here is that it actually begins before birth, when all those follicles are first formed. Then, the whole process just pauses, for years, and only picks back up again at puberty when the monthly cycles kick in. And this all happens inside a beautifully coordinated dual cycle that lasts about 28 days. While the ovarian cycle is busy maturing one precious egg, the uterine, or menstrual cycle, is preparing the uterus. So first it sheds its old lining. Then it rebuilds a brand new, lush, nutrient-rich one. Right around day 14, ovulation happens. The egg is released. And then the uterus just waits, perfectly prepared for implantation. If that doesn't happen, the whole system just resets and starts all over again. So you've got this incredible mass production happening on one side and this meticulous, careful preparation on the other. Who is conducting this unbelievably complex orchestra? Well, the answer lies in the endocrine system, the body's hormonal command center. The chain of command is actually pretty simple to follow. It all starts up in the brain with the hypothalamus. It sends signals down to the pituitary gland, which you can think of as the general manager. The pituitary then releases hormones that travel through the bloodstream and give direct orders to the gonads. That's the testes in males and the ovaries in females. And what is just absolutely amazing here is how the same master signals can produce such wildly different results. Let's just take a second with this. So the pituitary releases two key hormones in both sexes, follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH, and luteinizing hormone, or LH. Now look at what they do. In males, FSH tells the testes, hey, make more sperm. But in females, that exact same hormone, FSH, tells the ovaries to start growing a follicle with an egg inside. Then you have LH. In males, it triggers testosterone production. In females, a big surge of LH is the specific signal that triggers ovulation. It's incredible. Then the gonads release their own hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, to carry out the rest of the plan. Okay, so we've got our two strategies, quantity and quality. We've got the hormonal signals driving everything behind the scenes. Now we finally arrive at the ultimate goal, the whole point of this entire system, bringing these two strategies together to create a new individual.
Now, to understand this, we need to talk about a very special type of cell division. See, most of the cells in your body use something called mitosis to make identical copies of themselves for growth and repair. But in the gonads, the cells use a different process called meiosis, and its job is to create gametes, sperm and eggs, that are genetically unique and, critically, have only half the normal number of chromosomes. These are called haploid cells. They have 23 chromosomes instead of the 46 that all the other diploid cells in your body have.
And that brings us to the final critical question. What happens when that high-volume, penny-slot strategy finally hits the jackpot, and it meets that one single high-stakes bet at the exact right moment? You get the simple, beautiful math of new life. A haploid sperm, carrying its 23 chromosomes, fuses with a haploid egg, carrying its 23 chromosomes. The result is a single diploid cell, called a zygote, with the full set of 46 chromosomes. That is the very first cell of a brand new, genetically unique human being. The entire system, with all of its complexity, its two opposing strategies, all comes down to this one successful union, the ultimate investment in tomorrow.